This video will show you how to identify functions. So first, let's talk about the difference between relations and functions. A relation is any group of ordered pairs. So you can have any amount of ordered pairs you see, there's nothing special about them, just any set of ordered pairs will be a relation. But a function is a special relation where every x value is paired with only one y value. So you can see on this example that the first one is a relation, but it's not a function. So that means that in the second case, see how every x value goes to one y value? So 3 goes to 8, 6 goes to 2, 5 goes to 1, and then 1 goes to 3. But in the first case where it was just a relation, we saw that 6 went to 2, and 6 also went to 3. So a function cannot have like the same input go to two different outputs. So this is a relation, but this one's a function because you don't see input have two different outputs. Okay, so we're going to go over a couple examples of when you will see how to identify a function. The first one is when we're given a set of ordered pairs. And we can determine if an ordered pair represents a function by verifying that every input only has one output. So let's look at these three cases. So I will do the first two, and then I'll leave the third one up to you to see if it's making sense. Okay, so relation A, let's just double check that every input has exactly one output. So negative 18 goes to negative 14, 15 goes to 4, 20 goes to 1, and 1 goes to 14. We don't see any duplicates of the x values, so this is a function. Let's move on to relation B. So 13 will go to negative 8, 3 goes to 8, and 3 also goes to 10. So as soon as you see that we have the same number twice for an input and they have different output values, this is not going to be a function. 3 cannot go to 8, and it can't go to 8 and 10 at the same time. Okay, so relation C. Do you think this is a function? Does every input go to exactly one output? Okay, so the answer for this was yes, it is a function. 5 goes to 7, negative 3 goes to 2, and 4 goes to 7. And you probably saw this 7 in both sets and kind of had a question, well, is it still a function? It is totally fine if you see the same number in the y value. The x value is the only column that can't repeat. So it's okay if 5 goes to 7 and 4 goes to 7, as long as they have different inputs. Okay, we will also see functions in tables and we'll decide if it's a function or just a relation. And we can determine if it's a function by, again, verifying that every input only has one output. And this is pretty similar to the ordered pairs. We're just going to make sure that every input goes to only one output. So 11 goes to negative 8, 4 goes to negative 9, and then negative 11 goes to 4. So we don't see anything repeat in the x column, so this tells us that it is, yes, a function. We do see positive 11 here and then negative 11, but as long as they're not the exact same number, the sign can change. Okay, so for relation B, do you think this is a function? Does every input go to exactly one output? Relation B is actually not a function. Negative 13 goes to 5, and then we also see that negative 13 goes to 4. So remember, only one input can have one output, so it shouldn't have 5 and 4 as outputs. And the last visual that we'll see are graphs, and we're going to see if it's a function by verifying that every input or the x value has only one y value. So we're just going to check all of these points. Okay, so let's say we're looking at this point right here. This is at the x value negative 4. And we don't really need to know the exact numbers to decide if it's a function. We just want to make sure that there's no other dots in this column where x is negative 4. And then we're going to do that for every other point. We're going to kind of imagine an imaginary line and just making sure that there's only one dot in that line. So this one worked out, this one worked out, and then this one, our line also shows that it's the only dot there. So this is a function. Okay, let's look at relation B. So I'm going to draw my line. I'm sorry, these lines aren't perfect, but hopefully you get the point. Okay, this is the only dot in this column, so this is good. For this dot, let's draw our straight line. We don't see any other dots with it, so this is good. But then I see these dots, and when I draw my line, I can see that these two dots are on the same line. So this automatically tells me that it is not a function. We can never have more than one dot on the line. Okay, so for relation C, do you think this is a function or not? Does every line include only one dot? Okay, so we can kind of see right here that these 2 points are on the same line. So this immediately tells us, no, it is not a function. So this was a quick lesson, and the summary is just that functions are special relations where every x value only has one y value.